Hello and welcome to the Claret and Blue podcast. Not a fan zone, although you might expect it if you've been watching the channel over the last few weeks. I put a tweet out to ask for comments for the mailbag after Crystal Palace, and there were 30, 40 responses since full time. And John, not a single one is about Tottenham, which maybe says no one cares about the game or that there's more important things to talk about. So in a change this week and potentially forever, we're going to do 2 videos ahead of kickoff this weekend. Today is effectively a Q&A, like our Monday show, but there's so much to get through, and there was loads on Monday, to be fair, that we didn't touch on either. This is the second Q&A of the week, which is one of our most popular shows anyway. And then we're going to do a 10, 15, 20-minute show separately, specifically about Tottenham, that will come out the day after this comes out, or a few hours after this first one comes out. So if you want Spurs chat, you can go to that one. If you don't want Spurs chat, you're in luck, because we're not going to talk about it in this one. Or we might cross over it, I suppose, but there's no comments specifically about it. Let's get stuck into this then. First of all, from Danny in Colorado. If 65 points is enough for Champions League qualification, we need 7 wins and 1 draw from 17 games now. Theoretically, we could win 7 and draw 1 and lose 9, around 1.2 points per game, and still finish in the top 5. I'm not as optimistic as Dan, but these numbers highlight what he means. We're in a great position to essentially lock in Champions League football before the latter stages of the Europa League if we just keep winning in January and February, which exactly is the point I've been trying to make. I did get a bit of a pushback on, you can't say it's guaranteed. No, nothing's guaranteed in football, and I get that side of things as well. Yeah. But with each passing game, if Villa do keep winning, the task becomes much easier. And, you know, if you do get to 70 odd points by March, you can then think about pushing on even further. But we've said before, haven't we, Villa have got winnable games, particularly in February, but also, you know, 7 or 8 games at home, back Villa for most of those, and that will pretty much get you there. Yeah,
precisely that. I'm just quickly looking at the Europa League knockout dates, because I think that's quite an important thing. I think if we had no Europa League knockouts to think about, I would be, when I said 80 to 85, I'd be pushing that to 90, 95%, because I back the team to do it. And I'm still very confident, but it's only more games, more chance of injuries, more chance of fatigue, more chance of distraction is the wrong word, but you know what I'm trying to say there. So round of 16 is round of 16. That's 12th to 19th of March. But then quarterfinals and semi-finals, they're both in April, or the second leg of the semi-final is the first week of May, I think. But quarterfinals, 9th and 16th of April. So if I just quickly look at Villa's fixtures, so already that means February, March. There is knockouts, but just stick with me. Quarterfinals for the Europa League. So this first leg of the quarterfinals, if Villa get there, that would be played on the 9th, which is before Villa play away to Forest. And then Villa are at home to Sunderland afterwards, then away to Fulham, and then home to Tottenham. I don't think that's a bad run of games to be playing around a quarter-final, you know?
Yeah.
And then, you got semi-finals in there as well, and it's Burnley away after Fulham. So the kind of point I'm trying to make is that I think we would have enough anyway to deal with it, but yeah, you want to stack up wins before you get to those rounds. That's just my only sort of observation on it, really. Obviously, you draw to Palace, for me, a chance or an opportunity was there for us to end our winless run against them. But at the same time, you're a point closer to, in my head, 70 points. 70 points is going to guarantee a Champions League, and we're closer to that now. But yeah, wins are obviously still important. We've had a great first 21 games of the season, but we're still 7 or 8 away, and you never know what can happen in the campaign. But I think we're all very confident that we can get that amount of wins, even from the next 10 matches. I think that's the sort of
that's the target in my head.
That's what we've been dealing with in the last few weeks. So if you said next 10 games, how many wins you expect Villa to get, you'd probably say probably at least 6, without even looking at the fixtures.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my point. Okay, let's go on next to Powell's post Spurs paella. Fingers crossed. Does the signing of youth players or players under a certain age go under something other than PSR, we seem to spend a lot of money on youngsters that might not make an impact for the first team for a club that can't spend. I think that's the interesting point, actually. Obviously, it does all go towards the same figure. There's no skirting around the rules just because they're a youngster. But we do seem to spend a decent amount of cash on youngsters. I mean, it's not, in the grand scheme of Premier League signings, it isn't. You know, what was Alisson, 12 million or something off the top of my head? That's not a lot of money for a Premier League footballer. But for a club that is so close to the deadline, the threshold, if you like, for, you know, you could be in trouble if you spend too much, 12 million is not nothing.
Yeah, and for a 16-year-old as well, Brian Maggio, it's 10 million quid's not nothing either. Yeah, I kind of deviate quickly just to SCR again and say that it's obviously beneficial to pay lower wages for players because it's wages to revenue.
True, yes.
As one factor. There are other factors to do with squad cost rules as well. But I'm reluctant to talk about the younger players sometimes because we just don't know what to get from them. And we'll chat about this in the Spurs podcast, so don't touch on it too much now. But Alisson, we haven't even seen kick a ball yet. So, you know, Emery's only seen him very briefly in training as well too. So for that reason, we can talk about financials and why Villa are doing it. But then the other part is how many players have come through that we've signed that are young, because Nedeljkovic hasn't played. Won't play. Ozcan probably won't play either. There's other players who we've signed and probably don't have a future at Villa that were bought from elsewhere. So what I would say is that, Alisson is obviously a more expensive player than what we've seen previously. Same as Maggio. We'll see where that goes, but clearly there's a recruitment strategy there. One that, for the age range of these players, is expensive though. And it is slightly... The optics of it look a bit odd because we're obviously strapped in terms of the rules, but at the same time, as we also said previously, Dan, the age of our team, is creeping up across the board, really. So, you know, if in 2 years or 3 years, some of those players don't have such a big part to play or don't have a part to play at all, you want your younger lads to be coming in and taking over from their positions. Okay, next question is from Mike, and he'll be waiting with bated breath for me to say where he's from. We'll get to that in a second. Hi chaps, just listening to the bumper Q&A on Monday, and Dan mentioned he's disappointed in the names that you're coming up with. Yeah, Mike, what kind of name's that? I'm kidding. Well, Dan, I'm disappointed in your lack of effort for naming my location. So you previously mentioned you love hearing where people are from, yet when you discussed my point about Forest being the biggest game of the season, thanks for that, by the way, you just mentioned my name only. No attempt at stating where I'm from. Tut tut. I have a question about Rory Wilson. What expectations do we have for him? I hear he's training with the first team and maybe loaned out this window. Yeah. Do we know if he is a viable long-term replacement for Watkins, or is he, with no disrespect intended, another Louis Barry? And that is from Mike in Cricketh. I'm going to go with Criccith. It's in Wales. Wales.
So Cricketh. I'm going to go with.
I can't see it spelt, so I'm not going to have a stab at it. Yeah, Rory Wilson. He obviously signed, and he was not going to sign a new deal last year, but in the end did, and Villa pushed for that, and financially are paying him well. But does he have a future at the club? But that's up to Rory, I suppose. He's now 20, turned 20 a few days ago. So now is now is the time for him to kick on. He's obviously had his injury troubles.
Playing like Premier League 2 football?
Yes, and he's still scoring goals, and I think he will continue to score goals for academy level. But getting to this age that he's at now is the time to see what he's got in men's football. And that opportunity will hopefully come to him this month in terms of a loan somewhere. I'm sure there's going to be interest in him, but injuries haven't helped him. I think that's I would think in the last couple of years for Rory, and as well having not, how do I put this, the fact that he hadn't signed that deal as well, but he now has, but then had an injury to deal with in the weeks after that as well, which has been a shame for him. But I don't know what the future holds for Rory Wilson. If he continues to score goals at academy level, that's one thing, but you have to, earn your stripes elsewhere and get your experiences. And we've seen players like, for example, Cameron Archer go to Solihull Moors and struggle to score goals, and everyone just presumes, okay, he probably doesn't have much of a future here. And in the end, he didn't, but has obviously got a career elsewhere in the Football League. Villa are at a completely different level, though. We're trying to be consistently a Champions League club, and Unai Emery wants to win the Champions League. So it's difficult. Players will come through, whether they have a career at Villa or not. I hope that they have a career, that brings them everything that they want. Maybe elsewhere. Hopefully it's at Villa, but you just don't know. And obviously financially as well, we've seen so many players leave. Some for big money as well, to help with PSR and SCR. So we'll see where that one goes. But yeah, the facts are he is on a deal. It wasn't a long-term deal, though, that he signed. It wasn't like a 5-year contract or anything like that. So he needs to go out now, experience men's football, and let's see how he goes there.
Yeah, I was about to say I'd quite like to have already seen a 20-year-old play League Two level or whatever. I don't know where you go straight away. You just mentioned Solihull Moore was there for Cameron Archer, but you're right to mention some injury problems as well. So I'm not going to write him off. He could go to, I don't know, Salford City and be brilliant, and we go, okay, actually, maybe there's something there.
And every player develops differently as well, don't they?
Yeah. So I'm not going to make too many conclusions, but I'm also not going to sit here and go, oh yeah, give it 2 or 3 years and he's be banging goals in the Premier League, because that would be completely baseless. Next question isn't, but it's funny, from Damian Vidigani. Damian, if you're watching, Unai loves a hybrid forward who can play in multiple positions, but surely Crystal Palace was the perfect example that we are absolutely desperate for a proper right winger and a proper backup striker. Alisson has signed, but it's unlikely to be in, but will be unlikely to be in the first 11 anytime soon. Do you think we'll address this in January? Firstly, John, did you listen to that in Damian's voice in your head? Could you imagine him asking that question?
I didn't too.
Yeah, we'll talk about Alisson in a little bit. You've alluded to that maybe we'll discuss him in the Spurs show. Yeah, I agree. Right wing is a problem. Whether we sort that in January or not, I'm not so sure. But it's clear that is an area that we have to do something.
Put a piece out early in the morning, essentially saying that's Villa's problem position, and it has been for a period of time now. And it's not that when John McGinn plays there or another player plays there that we're lopsided and you can clearly tell that we're massively imbalanced. It's not that. It's just that we simply don't or haven't had that profile of player since. Last season we did in Leon Bailey, but was for different reasons not worth counting on. The season before that, he absolutely was, and we've been missing that, haven't we? I think it's an incredibly important part of our team to have that profile of player, and we haven't had that. Alisson, to an extent, is, so that's why I'm excited to see how he goes, but also no kind of expectation for him because he's only had one full season in Brazil in their professional league, Serie A. So, absolutely true. I don't think yes, after the Palace game, I did think we were sorely missing that, but I was thinking that some months ago as well. So nothing new, basically. We obviously saw Morgan Rogers go out on the right last season, which I don't think anyone liked. He still played well. It's not
so racked up some numbers, didn't he?
Oh yeah, for sure. Not an issue. It was just that I think we knew we could probably get better from him elsewhere, and he was playing there because we didn't have what we wanted, and we still don't. The answer isn't Sancho by the looks of things. Too slow for the Premier League, I think. There's clearly a player there, but for different reasons, it doesn't look like it's working. I hate to say it, but maybe that Chelsea cameo was the bright point of his career at Villa. I hope not, because we're only halfway through a season and Emery is believing in him. And I want to trust that he'll improve and show us more, but you can't, how do I put it? You can't just show something that I think is physically he's unable to do, essentially. I don't think he's the right player that we need for that right side. In some moments, yeah, he is, because as we saw in the Chelsea match, he was fantastic. And I'll, credit him for that, but Palace is the opposite of that. And then backup strikers, as well. Sorry. Again, somewhere that we've said, absolutely, we need that. If nothing else, to take the load off Watkins, because we've got a long season, hopefully, to go still, even though we're halfway through it. 50 plus games, 55 games, whatever it is. I think if Watkins, gets into middle of April, and then he's got to do another month in May, another half of the month to finish April off. I've just mentioned at the top of the video the European games that we're going to have to be playing from April to the back end of May. That's a lot for one striker in the club, and I say that because I don't think Marlon is necessarily a like for like.
Is it snowing where you are, John?
So, I don't know, because we've got the lights on. I can't see outside.
Fair enough. I just had a notification on my watch for my Ring doorbell, and the car is covered in it already. So
Right.
it's snowing over here.
Is it?
I don't know whether this is coming out Thursday night or Friday morning, but I presume most other people in the UK will have snow when they're listening to this as well.
If there is, I'll show you outside.
Oh, okay.
Well, apparently it's snow, but actually I don't want to show you outside.
For privacy reasons. Okay, right, let's move on to another question, shall we? From John McGinn's Glasses. Hi, guys. I have a theory that Villa defenders have an offside bonus in their contract. Every time an opposition attacker looks remotely offside, every single one of the back four and Martinez appeal for it, even if the ball is going out for a goal kick. Some of the players, especially Konsa, will have a right go at the linesman if he didn't give offside, even when it doesn't matter, as it's already gone out for a goal kick. It's a good observation, actually, because we do protest for it quite a lot, but there will be no official bonus for clean sheets, possibly.
Yeah, I'm just
offside's not though.
No, but who knows? But
that was a massive guy. You'd have your routine. I was asking for like a pass success completion rate or something.
Would be broke. Was it the Forest game? I think then Loft jumped up. Yeah, it was the Forest game. He jumped up to try and who did he go? I can't remember now. It doesn't matter. I think it was maybe Jesus, and then Gibbs White follows him around the back and then scores. That's the one time I think it's caught us out recently, anyway. And it's probably the one error as such that Lindelof has made as well since coming into the team. So I hate to have turned that on to a negative somehow, but there you go.
I love that. There's definitely not clean sheet bonuses and stuff in Football Manager. Football Manager was very realistic, so I presume there'll be something in that.
You're still going with your Norwich?
I've not touched it for a few weeks, to be fair. I'm top of the league after about 25 games. I'm just leaving it there. I'm leaving it in limbo for now. But offside bonus, I'd be surprised. Eddie and Harborne next. We've had a really tough run of games in December and early January, and it feels like the next 8 games before Manchester United at Old Trafford will define our season at home. 5 of those 8 are at Villa Park, and some winnable away games as well.
4 at 6. Oh my God. Sorry, I've killed Eddie's moment there. 4 of the next 6 at Villa Park as well, yeah.
4 of the next 6. So what's that? Everton,
Brentford, Brighton and Leeds.
I was stunned, and I should know this, but Brentford are 5th at the moment at the time of recording. I'm surprised. I know they've obviously done very well.
There's so much track, not to take away from it.
I know, but even so.
I think Keith Andrews, it's difficult because everyone looks at Brentford as Keith Andrews is doing well. Therefore, it's clearly the club because Frank's not doing well as well. But I'm sorry, your first job in management, essentially, in the Premier League, you lose all of your players and they're 5th. I think it's remarkable. So fair play to them.
Yeah. I know they've done well, but if you'd have said where are they, I'd have probably guessed 10th, 9th, something like that. So another points gaps is close to those teams, but as high as 5th. So when you're like, winnable games coming up, Brentford for where they are they're actually doing much better than obviously people expected them to.
Absolutely. It does feel like a bit of a, I don't know. There's a lot of traffic basically from Spurs. To Brentford is a 6-point swing, I believe, and Spurs are 14th, Brentford are 5th. So there's so many teams.
I'm so glad we're not in that.
Out. I think that's where we'd probably expect to be. And you know what? If we were, I'd probably be quite positive about it, just because it's we're doing well in the Europa League, and we'll go on a run. We're 11 points clear.
If we're saying Villa need to win 7 and there's winnable games in the next 8, I'm not suggesting we're going to win 7 out of 8, but you could win 5 out of 8 and you're pretty much there.
Well, I hate to do this because it always backfires and people will be saying, what you... Right, Everton, Brentford, Brighton, Leeds, West Ham, Sunderland, and Tottenham. They're all home games. And if you win those, how many games did I mention there? That's probably about 7 or so, right?
6 or 7, that was.
That's Champions League. There you go.
Yeah.
You're basically there. That makes it sound so easy because I know in the Everton game, every other minute you're going to be there like, oh, mate, this will be such a big win. And then in the next game I've mentioned, this will be such a big win. Each one individually are, big, massive games. But when you kind of boil it down, that's it. And I haven't mentioned, obviously, away matches. You've got Wolves away, Forest away, Fulham away, Burnley away.
We've got so much room for error, basically, which is why I'm so comfortable at the moment.
Yeah, I've got a weird feeling. I don't know why I'm bigging myself up to this, but I've got a weird feeling that we'll do something at Newcastle as well. I just think now is the time to do that. But yeah, we've got games there that we can win. And I did also hear you saying the post match. I think it was the post match that obviously the sides as well. Time's running out. Not just yet, actually, but eventually time will run out. The fact that we lost to Arsenal and lost no ground from the teams beneath us. The same for Palace as well. That 11-point gap has remained, even though we failed to win. And it was against the bogey team, which we don't have to play them again. Hopefully, Palace this season, especially in the league, we don't. So it's all going fine. There's no reason for me to squirm, and if anyone's going to squirm, it'll be me. Trust me. So, I
think that's a point we've overlooked, and I have said it before. I did mention it on the post-match, but for those that maybe skipped it because it was a 0-0 with Palace, if we're saying we need to win 8 from 17 and there's an 11-point swing, the teams behind us need to win 12 from 17. That's a pretty good run at Premier League level at the back end of the season. 12 from 17, and that's reliant on us not getting those 8 and getting, let's say, 6 wins from 17, which would be our worst run of the season and one of the worst runs under Emery, probably. 6 wins in 17 matches in the league. So, yes, we have to do our bit still, but at least 2 other clubs behind us have to do much better than that run to overtake us. So I'm not saying it's a done deal now and we can all relax for the next 3 months, but we could win 1, lose 1 for the rest of the season and be absolutely fine.
Yeah, you've got 9 home games remaining, and without looking at them, we can win them all because we've beaten Man City, Arsenal, PSG, Bayern Munich. Like, we've done the lot pretty much. We can beat anyone at home. You probably got to win, we keep saying this, 7 or 8 of those 9. And if you said now, Villa, out of those 9 games, what would you be disappointed with in terms of a win total? You'd probably say anything less than 7. So 6 wins out of 9, you'd probably be like, you could probably do better, which, mate, our standards have gone through the roof. So it's not us being, wanting too much necessarily, but Villa have lost to one team in the last how many months since losing to Arsenal on the first home game of last season. So, those are the facts. I just think, again, there was points last season where I remember West Ham at home, we didn't beat them. Ipswich at home didn't beat them, and they were down to 10 men. Brighton at home, we didn't beat them. I know you can say, well, times have changed, and I just think European knockout football, how will that test us? Let's find out. But for now, I'm comfortable. And
also, don't get me twisted. There will be a game or games that we do lose or fail to win that you don't expect us to. Of course we will. Yeah, there is a winnable game at home that we won't win, and it'll be like, oh, that's a bad one. But it won't affect the season. Yeah.
The only other thing I would mention, because I keep looking at the Leeds game towards the back end of February and thinking that's one that you would class as like, oh, we should probably win that. But then look at how they're doing. You never know how a team is going to come up against you. But
of course,
in terms of the relegation fight, so when we always say, oh, you don't want to be going to a team who are scrapping at the bottom towards the end of the season. I'm not really seeing that we have that. I think Burnley will probably be down by the time we go to Turf Moor, which I guess people were saying, well, they play with freedom. It's not an excuse. You need to beat Burnley away. I'm not looking at a team there and thinking they're going to be absolutely, Forest on April the 11th away. Maybe they're still in a bit of trouble. Forest, I don't know. But yeah, West Ham as well we play. So we play West Ham and Forest, March 21, April 11. I presume there's an international break between those 2 games.
There is one,
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see how the table goes out. But towards the back end of the season, when teams are fighting for their life, I'm not sure there'll be a situation like that anyway this season. But if there is, we're not going to be playing those teams at the very end of it. Like, when you out of the last 6 games, we're not going to be playing a team in that run.
From now till the end of January, at least, we're not going to chat on any episode about we only need to win 6 from 12 now, or we only need to win 7 from 14, or whatever it is. I'm going to put a ban on that because I'm sure people are probably fed up of hearing it. If we win the next 3 home games, the next 3 league games, like we're already basically there. But we can't keep doing this every episode where we look ahead to every fixture and go, well, if we win that one and win that one, we'll basically be fine. But that is the point. That's why I'm so confident about it. But we'll put a hold on that for now, that conversation. We'll assess it at the end of January. Let's see how many wins we need when we start February. Next question is from Dave. American fan here. This is my 2nd season watching Villa and following the Premier League. Oh, you Dave, you big glory hunter, you. Big thanks to you and the podcast for helping me learn more about the sport and culture of Aston Villa. Do you have any recommendations of additional content, documentaries, podcasts, or literature that I can consume to get more familiar with Villa history and a better understanding of the league? It's an interesting question, and I've not got anything off the top of my head. besides the two books that are just behind me, Guillaume Balagay's Rise of the Villains and Greg Evans and Matt Mayer's Waking the Giant, which tell the story of Villa's promotion and transformation under the current owners, and Balagay's is about Emery mostly. So not history you after there, but two good reads. Anything stand out to you?
I'd open that to the comments, and two people talking about bits and bobs is one thing, but if we open it up to the masses,
the Villa hive mind to come together and go, there's a great documentary on BT Sport from 4 years ago. That'll be somebody will suggest something like that. So yeah, open that out to the comments if anyone's got any suggestions for Dave on brushing up on his Villa history, recent or otherwise, and then get involved with that. Next one's from Ben Griffiths. He says, I really enjoyed your interview with the legend Dean Smith. My question is, if you were given the opportunity to interview Steven Gerrard, A, would you do it? Surely you would. He's a big name. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. B, more importantly, how would you go about it? Would you be combative, challenge some of his decisions, or would you lowball it a bit as to not make it too awkward? I find these questions really interesting. What's your initial take on that?
I'd definitely challenge it. You get Steven Gerrard in a room and ask him about, what else is there to ask? You can't say, do you remember that win you had against Brighton on your opening? Yeah, great times those, weren't they, Stevie? Thanks for coming. No, of course you got to challenge it. I mean, and not funny if he signs up to doing a Villa podcast, which I highly doubt he would, but if he did and he wanted to,
if you're listening, Stephen, you want to come, get in touch.
I can't foresee him imagining that it would be like a nice, easy ride. But at the same time, I like these ones because, like me and you were talking I don't know, maybe like 2 years ago now, about what guests would we want to have on. My top ones were Fabian Delph.
Richard's one.
I can't remember. I think possibly so. But I want to hear those stories. Like I want to know about, what's your.
I remember when we did.
Always two sides of the story. I'm not saying I would agree and try and paint Delph as that he wasn't a serpent, but something, a different sort of story. I think we hear a lot of positive stories, and which is great. We want that, but at the same time, to learn something and let someone else have their say. Because has Delph ever spoken out about Villa since then?
No, I don't think so. No,
possibly not. But to kind of get him in a room and say, so what went on here? Come on, Fabian, try and make it better. And I think if he doesn't want to do that, he probably can't make it better.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting when you do the ones that are deemed to be not as popular. So obviously we did, I say obviously as if everyone knows, it was years ago. We did Alex McLeish during lockdown, so May, April 2020. And that not loads of people watched it. People would have rightly gone, Alex McLeish, what a disaster. I hated that period. I'm not watching that. And that's fine if that's your opinion. But there were some interesting bits in there because it's not the fairy tale story. It's not the, I won loads of games, I got promoted and everyone loves me, which Dean Smith was. And that was a brilliant interview, by the way, and I'm not slating that. Yeah. But the other side of it, where it doesn't go so well, can also absolutely be interesting. So I think on that point, how would you handle it? Firstly, I don't think it's ever going to happen. As you say, he's got to sign up for something that he knows he's going to get stick for and be questioned. But there is still a fine line. You can't just come on and go ranting and raving and you were crap, weren't you, Stevie, and not really dig at him. You can be forthright and ask difficult questions without ridiculing, because that person has given their time and they've come to you, and you've got to respect them as people still. But you can absolutely be difficult with your questions and ask things that might make them squirm a little bit. You're not going to just sit there and, like you say, thanks for Kamara, Stevie. That was a stroke of genius. Anyway, see you later. You've obviously got to talk about the bad stuff as well.
No, exactly. That's what would make it an interview worth listening to or watching. So, I'd love for it to happen. But to be fair, Stevie has spoken about it. He hasn't gone into hiding about it.
That is true, yeah.
He has spoken about it. So it's not so much of Gerrard's going to break his silence on Villa sacking. He's done a lot of that before, but I guess it's pushing him on it. And
from a Villa specific platform.
Yeah. And there's, he will have his opinion on different things, like when he called out Tyrone Mings. Okay, so what was your thinking behind that? Was that as deep as what it sounded, or was there kind of a different meaning? Was that just kind of a slip of a tongue sort of thing? Is that something that you've said to someone else before? Because no one knows. No one knows the absolute truth. We only see it through our own sort of perspective. So that's why I like to do those sort of interviews. But Fabian Delph, I don't think would.
If anyone is listening who has a contact for somebody who is deemed a controversial figure in the Villa universe and thinks, you know what, I would actually go on the Claret Blue podcast, email is in the podcast description. Get in touch and we'll.
It's a safe space. Just don't read the comment.
Yeah. Right, a couple of questions left then on this bonus Q&A. This could be a regular thing, by the way, if people want this. Again, comment section is going to be very active on this one. This question is from Anana's Heavy Pockets. You were recently discussing Anana being a cheerleader and whether you thought it was cringe or not. For me, players like Anana that understand social media and engagement are so important to the future growth of the club. Maybe he does it for the next generation of fans. I have a 5-year-old son who is already obsessed with Villa, and he's so excited to see the 1, 2, 3 pocket move and another one from Luca Dean each time we win. Love the podcast. Up the Villa from a villain living in Hamburg, Germany. Not loads to discuss there, but I think it is nice.
Can I raise something? Who says it's cringe?
On the post-match show for Forest, he was obviously not playing, but down on the touchline, kind of high-fiving everybody and whatnot. And there was some discussion after that game and in the comments of like, is that appropriate? Like, is it not a bit, John Terry puts his kit on and celebrates trophy lift even though he didn't play. It's not that level for me at all. But the criticism Amadou Onana got before was, he's a £50 million cheerleader. He's not even a good footballer. He's here for social media and he's here for fist pumps. And that's obviously not true either. Yeah. I can understand why it riles people up the wrong way. There'll be players in the dressing room who might not like some of his antics. There's 30 grown men there that might not like things that the others do. That's absolutely fine. Not everything is for everybody. Yeah. But I do think, as Anana's Heavy Pockets suggests, some of these things are good. If that makes a kid go and do that celebration at Power League or whatever, and that makes them want to become a Villa fan, great.
The one thing that I understood to a point in this sort of thing was that, I don't know, if Anana does his, big things to the whole end, maybe some players might be like, oh, but you haven't even played. Like, you're kind of taking the limelight away from us or something. I'm not saying that's the case. That would be my only sort of feeling of, I hope that isn't the case. The other stuff, I think it's absolutely fine. I just think sometimes, and I don't know if it's like an English thing, of we are like, oh, he's a bit too jovial. He's a bit happy. Like, do you know what I mean? It's dark outside.
It's a bit too American, isn't it? All that fanfare.
Yeah, but I think it's true. Like, if Anana was listening to this, I think he'd be like, "What on earth are they talking?" To be honest, I think a few people might be thinking, like, "Why is this a discussion? The guy's just trying to be supportive of his teammates." Like, we can't say, because we get it sometimes, don't we? If like Ollie Watkins doesn't celebrate other people's goals, but Anana does. What's he doing? He didn't score. I feel like that's kind of it sometimes. So I see absolutely no issue with it. As I said, the only thing that I thought maybe would be a bit like, oh, maybe that might rub people up the wrong way, as if he'd be on the bench or something and he's like celebrating a win or whatever. But that's his thing. That's his connection to the fans. It took him about 10 minutes actually to kind of ingratiate himself with the fan base, I thought, when he scored at West Ham. And already it was like, this guy's going to be a fan favourite, and he's had his injuries, but I really like Anana for different reasons. And actually, I think his connection with the fans is probably a strong part of that. So, yeah, crack on. Continue to be yourself, and it's only going to be a positive thing. I don't see how it can be a bad thing if he's giving the handshakes, of being supportive. Had we lost the game, I think we'd probably be saying it a different way of like, I don't know, maybe it's good to see Anana kind of having a word with his teammates or picking him up or whatever. But when we win, it's like, you weren't involved, so what? So
I was going to say that we might not see it at all if we don't win. So if we are seeing Amadou Onana celebrate, even if he's not playing, that means Villa are winning games. So I'm pretty comfortable with that. So, okay, let's move on. Couple left. Mark in Cheshire next. Hi, Dan and John. Typically, there is a new manager bounce when clubs sack a manager, but the turmoil and change it brings can also set clubs back. For example, a new manager wants new players or new style. Do you think this chaos at Man United and Chelsea helps or hinders us? I think both of them will get their next appointments wrong, is my prediction. That's probably the wrong choice of words. I don't see them, whoever they appoint, having immediate impacts for this season. Put it that way.
I think you could take it kind of a long-term view of like, I'm really glad that we're having one of our best eras when Chelsea's owners have decided to play Football Manager, bizarrely, and Man United still think that Alex Ferguson's like.
Can we talk about that very quickly? Can we please talk about that very quickly?
He's a legendary manager and one of the icons in British football But
does anyone
they've
associated
gotta
with
move
Manchester
on.
United keep got to calling him up to ask whether they can piss and fart with his permission?
They've got to move on.
Jesus Christ. Hi, so Alex, do you mind if I be the manager for a bit? He retired years ago. Why is it any of his business?
Just as kind of a wider point, we can talk about Racine here, and we talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or Michael Carrick or whatever they're going to do in the future. But there's deeper issues at both of those clubs apart from the managers. And for that reason, I think we'll continue to be okay. And again, you've got the commercial 6 clubs. Half of them are a bit of a basket case, to be honest.
There's change for all of them. There's talk of Guardiola, maybe this being his last season. Frank at Tottenham, I don't think he'll be there for much longer, to be honest with you. And Arne Slot, the same. I'd be surprised if he saw out the season. So there's change there at 5 clubs. You've only got Arsenal. If Arsenal didn't win the league, maybe Arteta gets his time up as well. So there's definitely a change of foot, and not at Villa.
It's always important to talk about like cycles, right? Because Arsenal, when Arteta took over as well, there was a period, I think it was like a Southampton game when it was like, if he loses this game, he's probably going to get sacked. Like, cycles happen. Yeah. Man United at some point will become a decent team again, like Liverpool have. They win the league with Klopp after having years of Roy Hodgson and whatnot. We've come back. Newcastle have come back. It always happens. My focus on Villa is at the moment, we're great because we have Emery, and the whole footballing department is built around one guy. As we mentioned, when Monchi left, though, it's also a bit of a weakness as well for the future, that when he goes, what the hell happens? Yeah. That's something to worry about, hopefully, in years and years and years down the line. And while that's in that period, I'm not sure Man United will get themselves fixed. I'm not sure Todd Bowley and Clear Lake will suddenly decide that they want to win things. They've won stuff, but I mean, you know what I mean. It's a bizarre plan that they've got there, but anyway, it's helped us. Is what I'm trying to say.
Right, final question on this one from Antonio Luna's cameraman. So I have a season ticket and currently have an unbelievable record at Villa Park. I mean, yeah, most of us do, mate. Sorry. I've only missed 3 games since we lost to Olympiacos in May 2024. And they were Arsenal last season, Palace in the League Cup, and Palace this season.
No way.
That means I'm on a streak of 40 games without seeing us lose. Surely there can't be many people with a streak like that. Do you think I will make it to 50 games without seeing defeat? Cheers, lads. Love the podcast.
I would argue that he's probably on the longest winning run of any Villa fan at Villa Park. He's got to be.
Well, yeah. What are the chances that anybody else also missed those exact games?
That's my
attended
point.
all the others. Yeah,
that's
he's got to be the only one.
What was his name?
Antonio Luna's cameraman.
Right, Antonio Luna's cameraman. Yeah, I think he's. That's quite something, There's not like an option start to allow it. Yeah, incredible.
Unbeaten streak, sorry.
What's the 45, was it?
40.
40,
without defeat.
Everton, Salzburg, Brentford, Brighton.
Win.
And then you got Leeds there as well. I don't know if would there be an FA Cup game? No, I think that Leeds game is possibly before an FA Cup match or round of fixtures. So, yeah, it's looking good. I don't think we're going to lose one of those games. I'd be very disappointed if we did.
Whoever this is, get in touch again when you do go to a game that we lose, and let's see what your streak is. And then if anyone else can beat that, if anyone can be bothered to work it out.
I don't think that's possible.
I can't. Surely there's no one else on that. Yeah. I love that. That's great.
Before we, give you like a plaque and stuff.
You can sort that out. That sounds like admin that I don't want to be a part of. Right, that's it for this episode of the Claret Blue podcast. John, thank you very much for joining me. I like doing Q&As. Like as I said at the top, this is one of our most popular shows.
We're now controlled by this mailbag. I feel like my life is revolving around a
mailbag now. Yeah.
You keep putting stuff in.
Yeah. Honestly, it updates all the time, and we said, send us questions about Tottenham, and there weren't any, which is why we've done a Q&A, because there's still good stuff to talk about. We've got 40 odd minutes out of it, so hopefully you enjoyed it. There will be some Spurs specific chat on the channel after this one, whether it's the same day or the next day, I'm not so sure yet. Depends when this comes out, but keep an eye on the Claret Blue podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to the show. Thanks for listening to this one, and we'll see you again on the next one. Bye bye.